I mean, I'm 75, that's not young. But to me, spirit wise, I feel young. I have a very young spirit. And I get up every day and I say, how much can I pack into today? How many things can I do? How many things can I accomplish? How many people can I meet and impact and learn from? And so every day to me is just an adventure.
You know when you feel like you just need a shot of adrenaline, a shot of encouragement that impossible things are possible. That's how I feel about this conversation and just the opportunity to connect with Jackie Kallen. She's such a cool person and she has just made so many fascinating things happen in her life. I'm sure we barely touched the tip of the iceberg of her cool experiences and her vivacious, bold, I can't talk, but I think you know what I mean. She's awesome, and I'm so glad I got to connect with her. I know you're going to enjoy this conversation, and I would love to hear your thoughts afterwards down in the comments below. And if you like conversations with awesome people, people who have changed the world, people who have left a mark on the world and just want to see the world a better place, stick around, subscribe to this channel, and thank you. Okay, let's get into it. Hello and welcome to this podcast conversation of the Epic Kate Show. Hello, Jackie Kallen. I'm so glad to have you on my show, the Epic Kate Show.
Well, I'm happy to be here. It's kind of a time difference between the US and Sweden, but hey, we're here.
Yeah, I read something that you wrote. I think it was on Instagram recently. And I was like, oh my goodness, if I get a chance to talk to you, I would love to hear more about this, to hear more about your mom, your mother, and how she was your first role model with the work that she did with civil rights and Native American rights activism.
Yes, that was a big influence on my life. Certainly, coming from a background of inclusiveness, like I came up in a background where everybody was accepted in our home, everybody was invited in our home, and really there were no biases or prejudices within my home growing up. Like you said, my mother was very involved in racial equality, civil rights, and we were all, my brother and I and my mother were very involved in the marches and signing petitions and doing what we could to enlighten people to the fact that we're all in one race, the human race, and that, color of skin, who we pray to, none of that really makes a difference. And again, she did a lot of work with Indians, the reservations. We would read to the kids and things like that. And I think that kind of a background helped me greatly as I moved through life and had to deal with so many different types of people. I think that's why I was able to be a good journalist. I could interview a president one day, talk to a janitor the next day. It was all the same to me. Going into an all male world like boxing, it didn't faze me. Men, women, black, white, young, old, we're all the same. So for me, it was just easy to transition from one thing to another. And I think that background helped greatly.
Yeah, from the very beginning, there was no respecter of persons. It's like, hey, you treat me with respect, I'll treat you with respect.
100%.
It was so neat to get to meet you along with a whole bunch of other people during the fan room live thing and hearing these little tidbits of stories. And like the question, I've had these questions in my mind since then of, I want to know more about this. So the story of how you waited 5 hours in a hotel, like hiding in a hotel, waiting to talk to a vice president.
That's right. It was Vice President Hubert Humphrey at the time.
And you were a high
And
schooler.
I was, yeah. And you know what, though? I felt that to get a good story as a journalist, you have to be patient, you have to be clever, and maybe even a little bit, I won't say calculated, but a little manipulative to get what you want in a good way.
Mhm.
And I figured that if I got what I set out to, learned another trick as to how to get closer to the person you want to interview, but it did pay off, and I did get my story.
So I'm
And,
so curious, what did you talk to him about?
well, at that time I was a teenager. So my question to him was, what can young people do to help? They're the future. What can they do now when they're in high school to help make a better America? Now, don't forget that was 55, 57 years ago. The question still applies to any politician. What can young people do? And I think his answer was to learn, to read, to pay attention to the news, to be aware of what are the issues that face our country today. Some of them are the same, some of them are different. But knowledge is everything. And I think that his advice was for young people to be educated and to listen to the news and follow current events.
Mm. I just remember, like, even though it was 2 o'clock in the morning when I set my alarm to be a part of this conversation, I felt so pumped afterwards. I was like, yeah, this lady believes that anything is possible and she just makes stuff happen. Yes.
Well, actually, anything pretty much is to a degree possible, but you have to know your limitations. That's the thing. For me, I learned early on I could be successful if I picked things I was good at. I mean, obviously, if I said I'm going to be an Olympic skier, I wasn't going to be an Olympic skier. I would fail for sure. It's just not my area of expertise. So to be successful, pick what you know you can do or what you think you can do, and then go all out for it. And that's my theory, is always go for what I believe in because I know what I'm capable of. And don't go down the lane that's going to lead to a dead end. If I can't do something, I don't even go down that road because I know where it's going to end. I go down a path that I feel like I can navigate that road and I can get all the way. And so that's my feeling, that you can achieve whatever you believe. So if I think I can do it, I'll do it.
Yeah.
But know your limitations. That's all. Just know what you're good at and what you're not good at.
Yeah. So how much time passed between tracking down the vice president to get an interview for your school newspaper and your interview with Elvis Presley?
Let's see, that was probably a 10-year period. I'd say a little more than 10 years, because the vice president was in the 60s and I met Elvis in the 70s. So in those years that transpired, I'd become a regular paid journalist, and I was married with 2 children and, kind of juggling family life with professional life. And so I learned a lot from my days of sneaking down hallways and waiting for an interview to how to properly set it up. And of course, as the years went by, I was more accredited, writing for a daily newspaper. I had my press credentials and I was able to set interviews up through the proper channels, which I wasn't able to do as a high schooler.
So I'd love for you to tell all my friends on this channel about how you interviewed Elvis, because that was an impossible thing to do.
It was because he didn't do interviews. It wasn't part of his personal comfort zone to sit down with journalists. He just didn't do that. And so in order for me to get access to him, I had to come up with another angle, another way to get to his presence without it being an interview per se. So I came up with a plan to give him a key to the city with the mayor. And that way I felt he would not turn down getting a key to the city. And at that point, I would be there. And then I would just sort of slip in a few questions and, in a very casual way, be able to get somewhat of an interview without it being an interview. So it worked out really well because obviously he was comfortable with it. He didn't feel that it was a pressureful situation. It was just a casual, here's the mayor, we want to welcome you, here's a key to the city. And I was able to just stand there and talk to him. And it was just more of a friendly conversation, but it gave me a front page story with some, really great pictures. And I felt that meeting him was something that was in my kind of bucket list of things to do, because I really admired this, small town boy from, down south here in our country, who didn't come from wealthy beginnings or anything. And he had built quite a career for himself. And, you know, at the time I met him, he was starting to decline a bit in terms of his drug use and his being overweight. And he was not at the top of his game when I met him, but he was still Elvis, and something special about a legend.
Yeah. Do you remember what you asked him?
What I actually did say to him was, wouldn't it be great if we could just get the hell out of here and go out to dinner somewhere, and you didn't have to go out there and do your whole show? And he said, boy, he said, would I love that? And I said, well, at another time in another place, that might have been a nice way to spend tonight. But I'm, so grateful to have met you. And, I said, this must be really rigorous for you and grueling, this touring every night, different cities, different hotels. And he said, you have no idea. And I think he was at the point where it wasn't fun anymore for him. It was a job, but it wasn't a pleasant job. And he even forgot the lyrics to a couple songs that night. And I just got the feeling that he was going through the motions, but he wasn't enjoying it anymore. It wasn't fun. It was just something he had to do.
That's the industry, isn't it? It just chews people up and spits them out. Like the more talented someone is, the more struggle they're going to have in life, it seems.
But it's the same. Look at Michael Jackson, another light that burnt out too soon. And when you're that famous and there's that much pressure on you and so many people pulling at you from every direction, it's not fun anymore.
Yeah.
And so you turn to drugs, you turn to ways to sleep at night, and then you turn to things to get you back up and in the right frame of mind to perform. And then it becomes a vicious cycle. It's just over and over the same thing. I wouldn't want that kind of fame. And I think that most people would not be able to handle it. And unfortunately, it does burn people out at a very young age.
Since you've had so much interaction with fascinating people your whole life, you must have just picked up a lot of stories of heartache stories over the years.
Well, I look at the good in every situation. So I always found the good in everybody. I was never a writer that looked for that one big scoop of somebody was doing something they shouldn't be doing, or someone was sleeping with this one or that. I wasn't interested in the dirt. I was just interested in the fun of meeting somebody who had been the top of their world, whether it's an actor, an athlete, a musician, someone who had really achieved a lot. I was always attracted to success because I think there's something about a successful person that we can all learn from. What separates someone who made it to the top, whether it's in industry, whether it's in, whatever career they chose, if they were the one that could make it to the top of that career, I found that fascinating. I always was attracted to smart people and successful people.
Yeah, I am too, especially in mindset. Because like that's what separates people is how hard, like in the movie um Against the Ropes, when he was like, oh man, I'm going to be sleeping at 5 in the morning, and then he says, haven't you slept enough? Like, ooh.
That's right, right. My theory is I'll sleep later when I'm very old and I can take naps all day and whatever. But once you're young and vital, and I mean, I'm 75, that's not young. But to me, spirit wise, I feel young. I have a very young spirit. And I get up every day and I say, how much can I pack into today? How many things can I do? How many things can I accomplish? How many people can I meet and impact and learn from? And so every day to me is just an adventure. And that keeps you young because you don't really have time to sit around and feel old and crotchety. You're just always learning and reading and, trying to find new things to excite you. And that's what I do every day.
Yes, I love it. So you're still coaching people, right? Or managing people, not coaching but managing?
I do both. I actually manage professional athletes. I manage their careers, and that's something I love doing. But I do life coaching, which is really a form of counseling people who need encouragement. It's really like being a cheerleader in a sense. It's like taking someone who's got issues or problems that they're kind of tossing around, and they need someone who's objective, not part of their group of friends or family, to kind of just say, you can do this, and this is how I would do it if I were you. And I think you're onto something, but you're maybe looking at it the wrong way. What if we rethink this and we go at it from this side or that side? And I think life coaching is just being a good friend to somebody and giving them what you think is good advice, and hopefully they'll follow it. And I enjoy it because it's like cheerleading to me. It's like saying, you can do this and we're going to do it together. And it's fun for me. I really enjoy doing it. I've met some really interesting people that I never would have met that have just reached out to me, that have either seen the movie or read the book, Between the Ropes, or my other book, Hit Me With Your Best Shot. And they thought, she's really done a great job of managing her own life. Maybe she can help me. And so life coaching is a lot of fun. And I find it to be very fruitful because when you help somebody, it makes you feel so much better yourself. And so it's something that I make time for. When you're managing a lot of different things and juggling a lot of hats, you pick which things are the most important to you. And I think helping other people is pretty much the top of my list.
I love it. I think people, whoever gets to have you as a life coach, whoa, that's a lucky person right there.
Oh, and it's my pleasure to do it too. So we're both lucky.
So what was it that captured you about boxing? Because I remember
That's a really good question, because most women aren't attracted to violent sports. And I don't think it was the violence that attracted me at all. I think it was the fact that it was almost like boxing can be almost like a ballet, the balance of the coming forward and backing up, being aggressive but being defensive, and the choreography of the way that these athletes move to deflect a punch, to move to the left or the right so that you don't get hit, where to position yourself so that you can do the hitting. And I found it very scientific because there's a lot of strategy involved. It isn't just two people just punching each other. It takes a lot of thought. When do I throw the punch? Should I move to the left? Should I move to the right? Do I wait a minute and wait till he's tired and then go in? There's so many facets of the sport that intrigued me, the psychology of it. What makes a man want to get in the ring, or a woman, and hurt somebody for a living? That's what I do for a living. I beat people up. I wanted to know what makes a person want to do that. And then I was interested in the dichotomy of personalities, where someone could be in the ring vicious, want to hurt you, get out of the ring, play with their babies, kiss their mother. They're just like everyone else. So the sport fascinated me for a lot of different reasons, but not the brutality.
Yeah, there's always so many more layers to things. It's annoying when people just judge something based on one perception of it.
I agree 100%. That's always been a pet peeve of mine. Look a little deeper. Never judge a book by the cover, they say, and that's pretty much something that I go by every day. Even when I meet a new person, I don't judge them by how they look, how they're dressed. I kind of dig a little deeper and try to find out something about this person that may not show on the surface, but is worth digging a little deeper for. And it's helped me a lot, because I've met some people that I might have misjudged initially and who have become wonderful, cherished friends. So there's a lot to be said for that.
Yeah. I was thinking about the scene when Meg Ryan's holding this sweaty face and he's just torn up and is just like, you can do this and I believe in you, and just thinking how powerful it must be to have those exchanges in the ring where you're just trying to put your soul into someone else's soul. And what does that feel like?
It's another extension of life coaching, in the sense that you're cheerleading someone. You want someone to believe in themselves. I see something in you. you have to see it too. You are good. It's about confidence. You have to believe it, because everything we achieve is through confidence. If you're insecure, you're not really going to succeed because you're doubting yourself. Insecurity is doubt. Am I pretty enough? Am I smart enough? Am I good enough? You can't be successful if you're questioning yourself. Confidence is really what puts you over the top. And you have to believe in yourself. You can't be insecure and think other people are going to think, she's really good. If she doesn't think she's good, or she doesn't think she's pretty, it's very, very hard to convince other people about anything if you yourself don't believe it. So confidence, I think, is everything. So when I'm with a fighter and he's in a crunch moment where he's doubting himself, it's up to me to tell him, to put it in his brain, you can do this. If I didn't think you could do this, I wouldn't put you in this situation. I know you've got the talent. I know you've got the skill. Dig deep. You've got to dig deep, because we're in situations sometimes where we have to just go that extra mile. You might be so tired you can't run anymore, but you've got to dig deep and cross that finish line. And there's times where you just need another person to boost you up and push you over that finish line. And that's really my job, is to find that last ounce of courage that you have, that last ounce of desire, and pull it out of you and push you across that line. And that's something that is important to me to be able to do.
It's so powerful. It's just, when you hear those words, there's just something that happens inside. Or when someone who's had an amazing career and who's worked with other champions, just in the first place, you saying to someone, I see something in you, you're worth my time to work with. That's
right.
Makes people's hearts explode. Like, oh my goodness.
Well, I want to be that inspiration, because I think we all need someone or something to inspire us. We want someone to see something in us. We want somebody to say, wow, you are good, or you are pretty, or you're so smart, or you're so interesting. I love talking to you. That kind of positive reinforcement is what feeds our soul. And I just think that we need more cheerleaders, and everybody does in their life, more people that believe in us and give us that little extra push.
Yeah. I think of that way with this channel. I've had so many wonderful conversations and learned so many things. And it's like, it's annoying because I just want to keep having conversations, but at this point I have about 25 of them to edit.
Oh no, that's a lot of work.
So I'm a lot pickier about who I book nowadays, because I already have such a long list. I'm like, I don't want to talk to just anybody. I want to talk to really wonderful people like you.
Oh, thank you for that. I feel honored to be part of that group.
Oh man, such great conversations coming up. Just people who have been able to change their mindsets, who've come out of poisonous times and in places and are now in a better place. People who were in cults, people who were the crazy preachers on the street saying you're going to hell, like these people who came out of that and are better now.
Well, brainwashing is a very strong thing. And if you get the right person, they can convince somebody of anything. So you do get these cult leaders who have that ability to manipulate weaker minds. A strong mind is able to overpower a weaker mind. And unfortunately, if it's used for the wrong things, it can be very evil. If it's used for the right things, it can be very constructive.
Yeah, exactly. The power of the mind, man. Watch out who you let influence your mind.
100%.
I wanted to talk a little bit about the qualities that women aren't supposed to have and how you didn't let that stop you. Like, especially things have evolved more into the 2020s of women being allowed to be assertive and dominant and unafraid and stuff, but it wasn't always like that, was it?
It was never like that up until the last 50 years or so. But when I got started in the sports field, especially, and even in journalism, um, being a woman in a locker room or a woman in certain situations is not the common. It's not the typical. It's not the average. So whenever you're going against the grain and you're a little different than what's expected, people aren't sure what to make of that. People are little creatures of habit. They're little sheep. They follow each other. And so if you follow the pattern, nobody notices you and you're fine. If you go against the grain, you stand out. You're the fish out of water. Like, what is this person doing? So for me to go into arenas and areas and places where I was unexpectedly present, here's a locker room at a football game, and here's this blonde lady. What is she doing here? Well, I'm here to do a story. Well, men cover football. What are you doing here? Or going into a boxing gym of all men. What are you doing here? It was always that sense of, you're a woman, you don't belong here. But I don't go by gender and I don't go by age and I don't go by anything. I go by me doing what I want to do. And if that inconveniences you, so be it. But I've never been one to look at obstacles as obstacles. They're just challenges. I've had some health issues, couple bouts with melanoma, 4 heart stents. I have glaucoma. I'm legally blind in my right eye. I have sleep apnea. I have to sleep with one of those CPAPs. But these are just things. They're not bad things. They're just things that we deal with in life. No one ever said it's going to be easy peasy every day. And so I just look at everything as part of life. There's the good days, the bad days, the happy things, the sad things. And then there's the challenges that are thrown our way. And how we deal with those challenges, that's what defines us as a person. You can either be a crybaby and a complainer and moan every day about every little thing, or you can suck it up and put one foot in front of the other and just keep going. And that's the way I choose to live my life.
Yes, I love it. I want so many people to see this and just take this in. Like, you get to choose. Doesn't matter what other people think about you or how a woman is supposed to be or how a man is supposed to be or whatever. Like, you get to choose.
You do get to choose. And when you make your choice, you have to be very strong in your conviction and not falter and not let somebody say you don't belong here. And then you start to say to yourself, oh, maybe I don't, maybe they're right. You have to be very strong in your conviction. If you believe that you're doing the right thing, just keep on doing it. And if someone doesn't like it, that's their issue. I always say that what someone else thinks of me is not my business. I don't care about it. It has nothing to do with me. Think what you want. I know who I am. And that's the way I function. I don't really let anything from the outside get me down. If I have an issue with myself, I'll deal with it myself, but it won't be because of something that someone else said.
Yeah, tiger woman.
Hear me roar, girl, right? Roar. Well, the biggest advice I can give anyone is to just keep moving forward without letting anything get you down, because that's a problem. We're always so sensitive. Somebody said this and that hurt my feelings, or I wasn't invited here and everyone else was invited. Who cares? You can't be invited everywhere. You can't think that everybody's going to like you, because it doesn't work that way. You don't like everyone, so why would you think everyone's going to like you? It doesn't matter. If your own close circle of family and friends love you and you have a great life, don't worry about the millions of other people that don't know you and don't like you. Who cares? They're not even part of your life. So why would you even care what they think? I think it's important to have a strong sense of self. Are you a good person? And if you can actually say, yes, I'm a good person, that's everything. But if you're petty and if you talk about other people, if you're selfish, everyone knows their own shortcomings. And if you have certain things about yourself you don't like, fix it. Because as long as you're here breathing, you have the ability to change. And I think some of us need to kind of take stock, say, yeah, I could be doing that a little bit better. Yeah, I do gossip a little too much. Well, yeah, I'm a little too judgmental. if we really think about it, there's ways all of us can improve. And I think for me, I try every day. I think about that. Before I say something, I try to think, is this a smart thing? Why am I saying it? Is it going to make someone feel good? Is it going to help them in some way? Or is it just a petty remark? And if it is, I just zip it and don't even say it.
Mm. I did think of the thing I wanted to ask you. I have this impression that there's always something impossible on the horizon that you're working towards. So are you working towards something impossible right now?
Well, I don't know, because the word impossible is not part of my vocabulary, but
Okay. What other
I'm
people would
starting
call
I'm starting a
impossible?
new I'm starting a new podcast with a new network, and I'm excited to see where that's going to go. Um, I would like to write a third book when I find the time to sit down and focus on it. And really, I want to rebuild my speaking career, because before COVID, there was a lot of speaking. You could go out and talk to crowds, and then it all came to a stop. And I don't know how it is over there, but we still do have what's called the Delta variant. Do you have that over there?
Yeah, things take a little bit longer to get to this island, but it is coming.
Well, the virus, the COVID virus has really stopped the world dead in its tracks. It's really caused a lot of, economical impact, as well as losing a lot of our family and friends. So it's affected everything. But my goal is for it to go away at some point, and we can all go back to our normal lives. We can all go out and interact with each other the way we used to. And, hopefully just life will go back to normal. But, I guess that's not impossible. But right now it just seems like when is that going to happen?
Yeah. That's really exciting. It's so neat to think about. I need to get a hold of these books. I wasn't able to watch the whole movie. We tried to figure out how to watch it, so I watched a bunch of clips on YouTube.
Mhm.
But it's like, oh man, I really want to see this whole thing. It looks so good. How was it meeting Meg Ryan?
Well, we worked together for about a year before the movie actually came out. And she's a sweet lady. I don't think that she and I had a lot in common. Our personalities are really different. She's a little sweet girl, and I'm just a ballsy, tough kind of a girl. We're not similar, but she's an actress. And so, an actress can be whoever they want to be.
Yeah, I was an actor for 12 years with a traveling
Oh,
theater company, and I performed in 5 languages, and yeah, it was a lot of it.
wow. Wow. That's impressive.
I mean, like one of them was one sentence in Spanish, but it counts. But I did
It counts.
5-ish years in German and 2 years in France. And yeah.
Wow. Like I said, that's impressive. As someone who could barely speak anything else, I took Spanish in high school, but that was so long ago that all I can say is buenos dias.
Hey, something's got to stick.
Right.
Well, it's just been really, really wonderful to have the opportunity to talk to you. Thank you so much for being on.
It has been. It's been so much fun. You ask really good questions,
Thank you.
and you seem like you really do your homework, which is fun, talking to somebody who knows what they're talking about. And I enjoyed this so much, and have a wonderful rest of the day. And let me know when this is out there so that I can share it on my social media.
Absolutely. Yes. Hopefully it won't take, more than a few months, but I can't promise anything.
No problem. It was great talking to you.
So the way that I end my conversations is I give hugs.
Oh.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
This is pretty much the
Best.
video ever made.